Random House Audio presents A Wanted Man by Lee Child, read for you by Dick Hill. For Jane, Standing by the Major Oak. Chapter 1. The eyewitness said he didn't actually see it happen, but how else could it have gone down? Not long after midnight, a man in a green winter coat had gone into a small concrete bunker through its only door. Two men in black suits had followed him in. There had been a short pause. The two men in the black suits had come out again. The man in the green winter coat had not come out again. The two men in the black suits had walked 30 brisk feet and climbed into a bright red car. Fire engine red, the eyewitness called it. Vivid red. Fairly new. A regular 4-door sedan, the eyewitness thought. Or maybe a 5-door. Or a 3-door, but definitely not a 2-door coupe. A Toyota, the eyewitness thought. Or maybe a Honda, or a Hyundai, maybe a Kia. But whichever, the two men in the black suits had driven away in it. There was still no sign of the man in the green winter coat. Then blood had pooled out from under the concrete bunker's door. The eyewitness had called 911. The county sheriff had shown up and gotten the story. He was good at hustling folk along while looking patient. It was one of his many talents. Eventually the eyewitness had finished up. Then the county sheriff had thought for a long moment. He was in a part of the nation where in every direction there were hundreds of square miles of emptiness just over the dark horizon, where roads were long, lonely ribbons. He was in roadblock country. So he had called the highway patrol, and then he had ordered up the helicopter from the state capitol. He had put out an urgent APB on a bright red import carrying two men in black suits. Jack Reacher rode for 90 miles and 90 minutes with a woman in a dirty gray van, and then he saw bright vapor lights up ahead at the highway cloverleaf, with big green signs pointing west and east. The woman slowed the van and stopped, and Reacher got out and thanked her and waved her away. She used the first ramp, west, toward Denver and Salt Lake City, and he walked under the bridge and set up on the eastbound ramp, one foot on the shoulder and one in the traffic lane, and he stuck out his thumb and smiled and tried to look friendly, which was not easy. Reacher was a big man, 6 feet 5 inches tall, heavily built, and that night, as always, he looked a little ragged and unkempt. Lonely drivers wanted pleasant and unthreatening company, and Reacher knew from long experience that visually he was no one's first choice of companion. Too intimidating. And right then he was further handicapped by a freshly broken nose. He had patched the injury with a length of silver duct tape, which he knew must make him look even more grotesque. He knew the tape must be shining and glittering in the yellow light, but he felt the tape was helping him, medically, so he decided to keep it in place for the first hour. If he didn't get a ride inside 60 minutes, he would consider peeling it off. He didn't get a ride inside 60 minutes. Traffic was light. Nebraska, at night, in the winter time. The cloverleaf he was at was the only significant interchange for miles around, but even so, whole minutes passed with no action at all. Up on the bridge, the through traffic was fairly steady, but few people seemed keen to join it. In the first hour, only 40 vehicles showed up to turn east. Cars, trucks, SUVs, different makes, different models, different colors. 30 of them blew past without even slowing. 10 drivers checked him out, and then looked away and accelerated onward. Not unusual. Hitchhiking had been getting harder for years. Time to shorten the odds. He turned away and used a splintered thumbnail to pick at the edge of the duct tape on his face. He got half an inch of it loose and gripped that makeshift tab between the pad of his thumb and his forefinger. Two schools of thought. One went for the fast rip. The other advocated a slow peel. An illusory choice, Reacher thought. The pain was the same either way. So he split the difference and opted for a fast peel. No big deal on his cheek. A different story across his nose. Cuts reopened. The swelling lifted and moved. The fracture itself clicked and ground. No big deal on the other cheek. He rolled the bloodied tape into a cylinder and stuck it in his pocket. He spat on his fingers and wiped his face. He heard a helicopter 1,000 feet overhead and saw a high-power searchlight beam stabbing down through the darkness, resting here, resting there, moving on. He turned back and put one foot in the traffic lane again and stuck out his thumb. The helicopter hung around for a spell, and then lost interest and hammered away west until its noise died back to nothing. Traffic heading cross-country on the bridge stayed sparse but steady. Feeder traffic heading north and south on the county road got thinner. But almost all of it turned one way or the other on the highway. Almost none of it continued straight. Reacher remained optimistic. The night was cold, which helped his face. Numbness dulled the ache. A pickup truck with Kansas plates came out of the south and turned east and slowed to a roll. The driver was a rangy black guy bundled into a thick coat. Maybe his heater wasn't working. He eyeballed Reacher long and hard. He almost stopped, but he didn't. He looked away and drove on by. Reacher had money in his pocket. If he could get to Lincoln or Omaha, he could get a bus. But he couldn't get to Lincoln or Omaha, not without a ride. He took to tucking his right hand under his left arm between cars to stop it from freezing. He stamped his feet. His breath pooled around his head like a cloud. A highway patrol cruiser blew by with lights but no siren. 2 cops inside. They didn't even glance Reacher's way. Their focus was up ahead, some kind of an incident, maybe. 2 more cars almost stopped, one out of the south and one out of the north, minutes apart. They both slowed, stumbled, stuttered, eyeballed, and then picked up speed and drove on by. Getting closer, Reacher thought. It's coming. Maybe the late hour was helping. People were more compassionate at midnight than midday, and night driving already felt a little out of the ordinary. Picking up a random stranger wasn't such a big leap. He hoped. Another driver took a good long look, but kept on going. And another. Reacher spat on his palms and slicked his hair into place. He kept a smile on his face. He remained optimistic. And then, finally, after a total of 93 minutes on the ramp, a car stopped for him. Chapter 2. The car stopped 30 feet upstream of him. It had a local plate and was a reasonable size, and American, and dark in color. A Chevrolet, Reacher thought, probably dark blue or gray or black. It was hard to tell in the vapor light. Dark metallics were always anonymous at night. There were 3 people in the car, 2 men in the front and a woman in the back. The 2 men were twisted around in their seats, like there was a big 3-way discussion going on, like a democracy. Should we pick this guy up or not? Which suggested to Reacher that the 3 people didn't know each other very well. Such decisions among good friends were usually instinctive. These 3 were business colleagues, maybe, a team of equals, thrown together for the duration, exaggeratedly respectful of each other's positions, especially the outnumbered woman's. Reacher saw the woman nod, and he lip-read her yes, and the men turned back and faced front again, and the car rolled forward. It stopped again with the front passenger's window alongside Reacher's hip. The glass came down. Reacher bent at the waist and felt warmth on his face. This car's heater was working just fine. That was for damn sure. The guy in the front passenger seat asked, "Where are you headed tonight, sir?" Reacher had been a cop in the Army for 13 years and then, for almost as long, had lived on his wits, and he had survived both.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?